What's going on? So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you guys can make more money without dialing more people and having lay down closes and also building more trust with people, not just in setting or sales, but in life. And it's learning the PACE personality test, right? There's multiple personality tests. There's Myers-Briggs, there's the dark triad, there's PACE, right? But to keep it very short and simple, I think PACE is very solid. If you want to get deeper into this, you guys can do your research on that. But the reason why I think that this will help you guys make more money is because number one, if you're able to personality type someone on a setting call, right, you'll be able to give the closer proper feedback on what type of person they are. So that way they can come prepared once they are on the sales call and then it's as laid down as possible. So for example, if you're speaking to someone that's practical, right, and they want to figure out what's the ROI with your program, right, a lot of times they're going to go ahead and say, like, if you don't have this stuff prepared on the closing call, that they're going to have go ahead and think about it, right? Because they want to look over the numbers. So what you can do is you can go ahead, write this down in the notes section for the closer, and then the closer will then have the numbers prepared, hopefully, right? The numbers prepared on that closing call, share the screen or whatever it is to give to that person. So that way they can do the numbers there together instead of hopping off the call, scheduling another follow-up call, and then potentially losing that money, and then you don't make any commission. So the four types of personalities that we're dealing with here are practical, action-based, social-based, and emotional-based. So I'm going to dive into each one. So practical, they're very planned, right? They love to plan stuff out. They're very strict with timelines and with dates. Their main focus is logic, results, systems, return on investment, and efficiency. So the phrases that they typically use are, what's the ROI? How does this exactly work? What does the process look like? Is there data or a case study? How long will it take? Can we measure this? And we're looking for something that just works. Another thing too is they'll say, like, I'm analytical, right? That's a huge one. Now they're very precise, technical, fact-based. They ask fact-based questions. They're concerned with the outcomes and the structure and their preference for tools, features, and data. So they're more so of just like looking at this from like an investment point of view, right? Like, what's my ROI looking like? How can I be sure that this is going to be successful? Because they are looking for some sort of safety. That's the intention behind this. Now, action-based people. So these are like the Andy Elliott's, the Grant Cardones that you guys see, right? So they're witty, they're fast, they're sharp, and they're on point. So their main focus is speed, results, decisiveness, competition, control. These people, honestly, are probably one of the best to have on your sales calls because they literally will want to move forward like right there on the call with you. I'd say practical people are the mainly like think about it, stuff like that, um, which is probably, yeah, just think about it. Action based though, you will find that these are type A people. So they're dominant, right? They more so want to have frame control, things like that. So the phrases that they typically use are, let's move fast. What's the bottom line? I just want to get this done. What are you selling me, right? What did you call me for? What's the purpose of this call? What's the quickest way to get there? Cut to the chase. How soon can we start? Things like that. Fast speech, high energy, right? Results driven, impatient with fluff, focus on getting ahead or getting an edge. So again, when you guys aren't asking those hard hitting questions, right? You guys are adding fluff to your questions. They're going to get impatient with that and they're just going to hang up the phone, or they just say, what's the price, right? You got to be able to identify that when you can tell by their energy, but also the phrases that they're using. So you got to be able to adapt to yourself to their energy level, right? So that way you guys can have that connection there. Because not every call is going to be the same. There's different personalities. Now, social. So they're very chill, soft, hippish, flaky. They don't stand up for themselves. I mean, keep in mind that not all this applies to social people. This is just a general rule. They're more so like go with the flow, right? They're very airy. Focus is relationships, collaboration, network, and control. So the phrases that they typically use is, who else is using this? What do your other clients say? How do we work together? We're very team oriented. I value relationships. I like to get everyone involved. So the very warm tone mentions of people or teams, desire for connection or community, interest in shared experiences or stories. So these are the people, these are the yappers, right? These are the yappers that you guys get in your calls that just love to talk to you and they love to talk to people, and which is great, right? But at the same time, though, we have to stay efficient and on task because we don't want to be on the phone for an hour, right? There's been times when I was first setting, I was on the phone for an hour because this person was just yapping, and you realize that you're actually losing money out on that because you're not able to get to other leads. So the last one is emotional, right? So the E. So they hold things in, they're sensitive, intuitive, they're trying to read and decipher people, they're easily offended and afraid, they don't really have thick skin. So their focus is their feelings, values, intuition, trust, and personal alignment. So the phrases that they typically use are, it just has to feel right. I need to trust who I'm working with, right? What do the reviews say? This doesn't sit well with me. It's important to me that it aligns with our values. We need to feel supported. Now, their emphasis is on gut feelings and inner certainty, their discussion of personal company values, and then they're very sensitive to emotional cues, tone, and connection. So these are the people that are like typically like are super emotional on your calls. They cry, right? They open up to you like very easily. Things as long as you're that type of person who can build that trust with them, right? So it's very important that you guys understand this stuff because then again, like you guys will make more money. Now, the ones that are typically related, because there's two type of energies, is practical and emotional people. So if you're practical, you're typically emotional, right? They're typically related. If you're social, you're typically also action based too. Now, you can be practical and action based, and that's called, I think, neurotic, or I believe that is. I have to do more research on that. But those are people like, I believe, Hormozy, right? That those are people that aren't the norm, right? They are not average. And then you have people that are emotional and social, things like that. So to do more research on this, I was just reading Surrounded by Idiots, a very good book, and then also Surrounded by Psychopaths to see. This one's more so about like avoiding being manipulated and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I would suggest you guys work at this. I mean, to get better every single day, and figure out what you are. It's really fun. Do it with your family, your friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it is. Yeah, and so what I will do is I will put this document in the description below, so that way you guys have it for yourselves. So that way you guys can use this with setting, and not just with setting, but with closing as well. Send it to your closers. Send it to anyone who else is in sales. And that's basically it. So if you guys like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram below in the description, and I will see you guys very soon.